You know that one couple, right? The ones who go on this incredibly romantic 2-week European vacation and don't post a single photo? Literally zero. Well, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking the fascinating psychology of the ghost user. Specifically, we're going to explore why some couples consciously choose to keep their relationships entirely offline. It's a behavior that seems almost countercultural today, but trust me, there are some really powerful psychological drivers behind it.
I want you to picture that one friend, or maybe that specific couple you know who has an account but remains completely, utterly invisible. While the rest of the world is broadcasting every date night, every anniversary dinner, and every perfectly filtered sunset, from them, absolute crickets. No selfies, no stories, no check-ins at trendy restaurants. So why is that? Psychology tells us it doesn't mean they're antisocial, out of touch, or, hiding something. There's actually a deeply intentional shift happening beneath the surface, and understanding it gives us a brilliant window into how human beings actually process joy and connection.
Okay, let's dive into this. Our first psychological pillar, validation versus the moment.
So, look, we live in an ecosystem built almost entirely around social feedback. Everything is structured to quantify our experiences through likes, comments, and follower counts. And psychology shows us that social approval is an incredibly powerful form of extrinsic motivation. It actively triggers the brain's reward system. Getting a like provides a very real chemical hit of dopamine. It feels good. But some couples operate on a completely different psychological wavelength. They place far less value on that external metric. Their internal satisfaction, their intrinsic motivation, is high enough that they simply don't feel a driving need to harvest approval from others. They don't need the internet's applause to know they had a good time or to feel secure in their partnership.
Instead, they prioritize the experience itself rather than other people's reactions to it. When they're sharing an amazing meal, celebrating a milestone, or just watching a beautiful sunset together, they aren't instinctively reaching for their phones to document it. Think about the mental shift that requires. You stop viewing your own life as content to be consumed by others, and you start viewing it strictly as a moment to be lived. There is a tremendous psychological weight lifted when you completely remove that perceived obligation to capture the perfect angle. They prefer the unedited reality of the actual experience. They prefer living in the moment rather than posting the moment.
Let's transition to our second pillar, protecting your mental energy.
Social media is just a relentless, high-speed stream. Think about it. You open an app and immediately, bam, you're hit with photos, videos, opinions, vacation pictures from people you haven't seen in 10 years. It is a literal fire hose of information flying at you every single second. For a lot of couples, managing this constant barrage increases their cognitive load and becomes incredibly mentally exhausting. By stepping away and keeping their relationship off the grid, they aren't just being passive, they're playing defense. They're intentionally reducing distractions and setting firm boundaries. They're actively protecting their shared attention and their emotional energy from a system that is quite literally designed to drain it.
And this brilliantly illustrates the psychological trap of constant social comparison, which happens in 3 very insidious steps. Step 1, you see the carefully edited, perfectly curated highlights of other people's relationships. Step 2, consuming those highlights naturally creates completely unrealistic expectations for your own day-to-day life. And Step 3, the inevitable gap between messy reality and those pristine expectations directly leads to lower life satisfaction. It breeds resentment, it breeds doubt. Recognizing this psychological trap is exactly why some couples consciously choose to step away entirely from platforms that encourage this kind of endless toxic comparison.
Now let's move into the emotional core of our explainer today, privacy over visibility.
Privacy over visibility. In an era where everything is public and oversharing is practically the default setting for society, choosing not to share is honestly a radical act of boundary setting. A lot of people intentionally prefer keeping their greatest achievements, their daily struggles, and most importantly, their intimate relationships completely private. They aren't hiding their love, rather they are fiercely protecting it. By prioritizing privacy over public visibility, they're establishing a private sphere. They're creating this sacred, untouchable space that belongs only to them, totally insulated from public opinion or unsolicited advice.
There is a really profound psychological truth to unpack here. Meaningful experiences simply don't need an audience to be valuable. When you share a deeply intimate moment online, you are essentially inviting the world's gaze into your relationship, which subtly changes the dynamic of that memory, doesn't it? For these invisible couples, a genuine connection is complete all on its own. It doesn't require a comment section, validation from high school acquaintances, or a flurry of heart emojis to make it real. The warmth, the inside jokes, the empathy, it all exists entirely between the two of them. And for them, that closed loop of intimacy is more than enough.
Let's wrap things up by looking at our final section, the psychology of choice.
Ultimately, we are looking at fundamentally different emotional needs and totally different ways of connecting with the world. It is super important to remember here that not posting doesn't automatically make someone wiser, happier, or more enlightened. At the same time, posting frequent updates doesn't mean someone is just desperately seeking attention or lacking depth. We are absolutely not taking sides here. Psychology simply suggests that we all have entirely different internal wiring. We have distinct motivations driving how we navigate our social worlds, and honestly, neither approach is inherently flawed.
So the crucial point is this: what feels deeply rewarding to one person may feel completely unnecessary or even burdensome to another. We all just process rewards differently. For one couple, sharing an anniversary milestone online feels like a joyous, communal celebration with their extended social circle. For the invisible couple, keeping that exact same milestone to themselves feels like guarding a precious treasure. Once you understand that these distinct psychological needs are the invisible forces behind our everyday choices, you really begin seeing human behavior in a wonderfully complex and judgment-free way.
Which leaves us with this final question to think about. What feels truly rewarding to you? Does your deepest satisfaction happen on a screen, or does it happen in the quiet, undocumented moments of your life? Take a moment today to reevaluate your own posting habits and let this fascinating quirk of human behavior inspire how you choose to connect. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer.